My name is Doombabe, and today we are going to be talking about SC2VN, the Esports Visual Novel, which is a visual novel that was released just last month by Team 1111. It tells the story of Mach, a semi-professional StarCraft 2 player from the States that moves to South Korea to boot camp and make it big. Now, as some of you should already know by now, I have a minor obsession with esports, and I even write esports news for GamerAssaultWeekly.com. And as you guys have already figured out, I have a soft spot for visual novels, as that's primarily what I review on this channel. So you can imagine my surprise, no, the thrill I felt when I saw that two of my passions came together to form a beautiful love baby on Steam. So let's get started. What I quickly found out while playing SC2VN was you don't actually have to be a StarCraft 2 enthusiast to be able to enjoy this game, which was something that was a concern of mine when I was looking at it. I don't really like StarCraft all that much. I only know enough to keep myself informed enough so I can write about it and know what I'm kind of talking about. So I was a little worried that I wouldn't be able to really get into this game. However, this is so amazingly written that you don't need to actually know how to play StarCraft or know anything about the community to understand what's going on. I was able to fully grasp what was happening in every scene, whether it be in or out of the game simulation, which I'll get to later. A lot of this had to do with the insanely handy glossary that you can access at any point in the game. Whether it be about the 3 different species you can play in StarCraft, the game terminology, or just the player-created lingo you hear, you can inform yourself on what the hell characters are talking about when context clues really aren't enough. And if you don't really know anything about esports or StarCraft in general, there is actually a tutorial option in the very beginning of the game where the creators will a StarCraft 2 caster explain the game, explain esports, so that's very handy if you come in knowing absolutely nothing about the industry. With that aside, let's get more into the story and the characters, and the story actually started out pretty damn bleak, which wasn't really something that I was expecting. We start out with the game telling us that about 1 in 50 people who aspire to be a professional gamer actually make it into the industry, and even fewer make it big. Then we are shown Mach, who is sitting at a desk after just losing a qualifier. She's depressed. She goes back to her apartment. She's having a lot of doubts. She's looking down on herself. She's second guessing her decision to move to Korea. So it does start out very it sets a very sad, Debbie Downer mood. Also, I feel like by this point I should mention that Mach's character can be male or female. That is an option in the game, as that was the only stretch option for the game's Kickstarter when it was on Kickstarter. I chose female at first, and I just enjoyed being a female character, so that's just what I'm going to be referring to her as. But in all honesty, there is really no difference in the game or the story, depending on just what gender you pick. So it doesn't really matter. But we're getting a little off track. As Mach advances in her career, as she makes friends, as she starts building a team, as she gets to know more people, the mood definitely lightens. She becomes a lot more confident. She's more sure of herself, and that does raise the mood a lot. And it actually has a very competitive edge to it, where I really wanted her to win. I wanted her to succeed, not because I really cared about her all that much as a character, but because I wanted to win. That combined with a diverse and colorful cast really made this to be a relatable and believable story that I really enjoyed. What I really want to praise the game developers for, though, is how they touched on the more serious issues that competitive gamers go through, such as match fixing and the struggle of being paid late if you're even paid at all. Because esports is still a very unregulated industry that has only recently become legitimized, for lack of better word. A lot of people see esports as this just sort of glamorous lifestyle that you're just playing games and getting paid for it. So seeing a story like SC2VN touch on topics like the grueling practice sessions, the drama, what it means to build a team, living in a team house, dealing with just the scandals, I felt it was very refreshing, and I thought it was a splendid way to represent the esports community, what it means to be a pro gamer, even if it was just a fictional scenario. If we are totally honest, SC2VN didn't exactly bring a whole lot to the table in terms of gameplay. I mean, it played like a normal visual novel. It had just about all the normal options when it came to controls and music and such, which wasn't a bad thing. It was just average. There's not a whole lot to talk about there. I do have to say that I really enjoyed the gameplay, the StarCraft 2 gameplay you played. This is a hard sentence to say. I very much enjoyed how we got to play the StarCraft 2 scenes. We actually got to choose how to play out just about each and every game, which I thought was a really interesting concept because it showed that I would be a terrible player because I apparently chose every horrible, shitty move possible. And let me tell you what, I am so glad you could save at any point in the game because I needed to go back and do a lot of redos. Oh boy. I was bad. But those gameplay scenes were actually very entertaining. This technically belongs in the visuals department, but the way that they were set up, the way that they were written, the way that they had the animation going, it really felt like it was almost like an animated comic. I guess they're called webcomics now, I'm not entirely sure, but that's how it felt. It was riveting. I had a lot of fun playing it, even though I was really bad and I kept doing bad. The visual quality for this game is ridiculously high, especially since this was a free game. There is detail in every single image we see, whether it be in the eyelashes or the gaming center or the fucking 8 million windows in the scene spanning over Seoul. The attention to detail can only be described as astonishing. I also have a very high amount of praise for the character design, which was nothing short of lovely. The characters looked very realistic without exaggerated features or off-the-wall outfits, despite this being an anime style. I mean, even the fingers were like normal lengths and shapes, and I know that sounds kind of weird, but in anime, the fingers are always really long, and even when I try to explain it and justify it, I still sound ridiculous, so we're just gonna move over that. The only thing that felt a little strange to me was how everyone had like that blush everywhere. Like on the tips of fingers and elbows and pretty much everywhere else where a blush didn't really need to be. I mean, it didn't bother me all that much. It wasn't something where, like, every time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's such a design flaw. It's just, I'm nitpicking because that's part of my job. Also, I may or may not have a crush on Bolt, and I'm thinking I have a thing for bad boys. So all in all, I really enjoyed SC2VN, and if you haven't played it already, I highly suggest you do, because the story was immersive, the gameplay was fun with the StarCraft 2 scenes, it's a beautifully designed game, it has a wonderful soundtrack that I absolutely adored, and it's free on Steam, so you really don't have much to lose other than time. And by now, I'm sure you're saying, Kuri, where the hell is the hentai? Well, I was going to make a hentai review today, but I found out 5 hours in that the game I was playing wasn't allowing Fraps to record gameplay. So this is where this game came in. And I'm going to try to have a hentai review up on Wednesday, if at all possible, but I just needed a little more time to kind of sort that situation out. Anyways, those are my thoughts on SC2VN. Have you played it? Did you prefer playing as a boy or a girl? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, you can find all of my social media as well as my Patreon in the description. Happy unbirthday, and I will see you later. Bye!